cut down this tree here. A white oak. Maybe 60, 70 feet tall, 12-inch diameter. Has a lean going right towards you. So here's my wedge that I've cut out of the tree. It's not exactly the angle that I was hoping for. Because this lead has such an intense lean, the second I started cutting in, it started pinching down on my bar, and I couldn't get up with the angle that I really wanted to get for this. But it doesn't really matter because I compensated on this cut with a steeper than 60-degree angle. Perfect world, you got 30 and 60. 60 and 30. But here I probably have like 10 and 80, something like that. In any case, this open area here is going to allow this tree to fall when I get my back cut in. So my back cut is going to come in from the back about an inch above the deepest part of the wedge cut here. So my back cut's going to come around all around the tree to about here on both sides, and about an inch from the wedge here, and that's going to be our hinge. So when the tree falls, it's going to hold that tree on the stump so it doesn't bounce around and maybe come towards me. It's going to hold that tree. It's going to slow the falling of the tree. It's going to control it, and once this cut hits this cut, it's just going to pop that hinge right off, and it's just going to kind of bounce right off the stump here. So let me get that back cut. Everybody but me is going to be far behind this tree, and we'll all be safe, and we'll get this tree falling. Alright, so that didn't go quite according to plan. A couple mistakes that I made, well, one mistake that I made was I cut my back cut too low. You can see that we're a little bit above the hinge here, but over on this side we're actually right at the level of the hinge. So that was my mistake. Another thing that happened here, which isn't necessarily something I did wrong, is that lean of the tree was so intense that once I started cutting into my back cut, you can see this is where I stopped my back cut. That's because this part of the tree popped out because of all that stress from the lean going this way. And when I saw that, you saw me just jump out of the way and run away, because at that moment I wasn't sure what happened. I thought the whole tree was coming out maybe this way, but it was just that back part that broke. I hopped out of the way, and you can see this enormous, disgusting hinge here, because when that popped out, that was enough where the weight of that lean pulled the rest over. Super big hinge, so it was a super slow fall, but it did what it needed to do. Once it hit here, it broke the hinge, it popped off the side of the stump, and here it is. We have a probably about a 60-foot, maybe 70-foot white oak tree. And I wish I could use this for lumber. It's not that big, it's about 10-12 inches in diameter, but it had all that lean that it had. There's a lot of stress in that wood, and that pith is going to be way off to the side trying to compensate for that lean, and the wood's going to be all stressed, and when it dries it's just going to like move and pop and crack all over the place. So unfortunately this white oak will be firewood, but there'll be plenty more white oaks to take down that we can use for lumber. Alright, so I'm going to cut down this tree here. I believe it's a hickory. I'll find out for sure once it's down, and it's got about a 16 to 17 inch diameter down at the base here where I'm going to be making my cut. I'm just going to clear up the ground completely here so I have my escape routes, and then we'll get started with the cuts. So now that the ground is clear of obstructions, we're ready to start to figure out how to aim our tree. So that's our tree right there, where you see my helmet and the chainsaw down, just to the right of those. I'm aiming for that clearing back there. Now, as you can see, if you can tell with the camera, this tree, well, one thing that you can't see from here is that it's leaning towards that clearing. So that's the very first thing. I have tried to cut down trees against their lean and have failed miserably every time. So I try whenever possible to just cut with the lean. Makes it a lot easier. So there's a slight lean going away from us towards that clearing. Great. I'm going to drop it into a clear space. Clear space is very important because if you drop it into another tree, it could get hung up, and then it's a dangerous situation that if you don't have machinery to pull that tree away from that other tree and get it untangled, it's a dangerous situation. It's not the greatest thing to have to cut it in pieces and drop it, which I have to do sometimes, unfortunately, because I don't have a machine here. But in any case, in this situation, we're pretty free and clear. We might hit like a small tree, but it will just break a small tree on its way down, and it will land in an open space. Obviously, I've already also checked to make sure that there aren't any power lines, or I haven't parked my car anywhere near this tree, or my fiance is nowhere near this tree falling. Those are all things you need to make sure of. So this tree also leans slightly to the left. Now because of that, and you can see there's some small maple trees behind it that I don't want to take down, and I also don't want it getting hung up on them. When I aim this tree, I'm going to aim it a little bit to the right, in hopes that it falls away from those maple trees on the left. Alright, that didn't go quite as according to plan as I wanted it to. What happened was, the lean didn't seem to affect this thing at all. It went right where I aimed it for, which was right at another tree, and as you saw, it got hung up. And it didn't fall very fast and really break this hinge, because it was hung up on this oak tree, or sorry, this maple tree right here from the get-go. I didn't pay enough attention to notice that the limbs, it was that substantial of limbs up there, and that they were going to interfere. So I'm actually happy you guys saw that, because that wasn't the worst, but it wasn't the best situation. So I'm going to make some attempts now to get this thing down by cutting this in some different ways. I'm going to cut with the top of the bar here, so this drops. And I'm just going to keep cutting back until I can get this thing to drop off that other tree. So give it a try. Okay, I definitely got the blood pumping, and like I said, that was unfortunate because, one, that was a little bit more dangerous than just dropping a tree, and two, I was going to use this, it's actually not hickory. I'm not sure what it is still, I haven't actually looked at it, but it was potentially good lumber for, to mill it up and get some dimensional out of it, to make stuff out of, but I still got some pretty good chunks over there. It's a little cracked up, but it still might be usable. So, we'll see. But as far as that technique goes, what I'm doing is, as I'm making those cuts on the top of the bar up, the reason is because that tree is going to want to fall like this, which is going to pinch the top of the bar if I come in from the top of the log. But if I go up, it's going to break out, opening more space where the bar is. And then I can come and just tap it on the top just to kind of break it, and the weight of it will break it down. So you saw me doing that. In a couple situations, I had to go a little deeper on the top than I than I want to. I make like a little wedge on the top to give the bar a little bit more space so I can pull it out real quick when it starts to go. But not the cleanest fell, but it's down, everybody's safe, and we're gonna move on with our day. Oh, get out of there! So we're up at the land that we just bought in Ulster County, New York, and the first step is cutting down trees to clear the driveway. We got about a 1/4 mile driveway to cut through this thick, dense forest.